Is the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G worth buying in 2023? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Now, this device was launched back in September of 2022, so at this point, it's not necessarily even that old of a phone, but since it was launched, there have been quite a few other competitors that have reached the market, so I figured this video would be a good opportunity to look back on the phone to see if it's still a worthy option. Now, this device is offered at both Metro by T-Mobile and regular T-Mobile, and it does feature an MSRP of $169. However, if I had to guess, most people that end up getting this phone will probably be getting it at a pretty large discount, if not for free, as T-Mobile does tend to offer deals like that for their various Revvl phones. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about this device, let's see what all comes included here in the box. So here is the box. You can see right there, T-Mobile Revvl. Then on the back of the box, we just have some regulatory information. Then opening the box, we have this packet here. We'll get that out of here. And we also have a SIM card removal tool. Then in the packet, we have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then we also have some literature here. So that's pretty much it. That's what we get included to get started. Now with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, we do have a very large 6.5-inch display. And another thing I wanted to mention as well, just to avoid some potential confusion, there is another phone called the Revvl 6 Pro 5G that is a separate device. Now, I've also covered that phone here in the channel and compared this phone to that phone, so certainly make sure to check that out as well. But getting back to this phone, again, we have a 6.5-inch display, so pretty large there. It is an LCD display at 720p. We're getting a PPI of 270 and a 20:9 aspect ratio. So a more narrow but taller form factor here with this phone, and overall, it's a pretty good looking display. I wouldn't say that it has the best viewing angles I've ever seen, but for a lower end device, I feel like it definitely does get the job done. And then also with having such a large display like we're getting here, it really makes this phone ideal for watching video content, going on social media, reading ebooks, all those various things will be a lot better on a phone with a larger display like this one, so having that large canvas certainly has its benefits. Now with this phone, we do have a water drop notch up top here, and it does feature a 5 megapixel front facing camera. This form factor also features a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, which is a bit unfortunate, but overall, I feel like this phone does have a very practical design to it. Now internally with this phone, we have 64 gigabytes of storage, along with micro SD card expansion. Now overall, 64 gigs for a lower end smartphone is a really good thing to see. I think that'll definitely last most people quite a bit, and for most people, they probably won't even get to filling out all of that storage. Now, if for some reason you do run out of storage here on the phone, you always can add in a micro SD card to offload photos and videos, for example. So it is nice to at least have that option. Now, unfortunately, there is no wireless charging with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the power button. So let's give that a try right now. So there we go, very fast and accurate. Let's try that one more time. And as you can see, it's definitely very effective and does work well. And then in addition to that, this phone also features face unlock, so I do appreciate that we have multiple methods here for accessing the device. Then on the back of the phone, we have a triple camera setup. So there's a 13 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is with the main camera right now. Then from here, we can go over to the More tab to get to the macro camera. And then with that, we can get very close up here and have things be in really good detail. We can then exit out of there and go to live focus, where you do get portrait mode, so you get those nice blurred out backgrounds. You even get a slider here to adjust the amount of blur as well, so it's nice to have that customization. And then heading back to the standard camera mode, we can flip around the front facing camera to take selfies. But one unfortunate thing though about this phone, and it could be a deal breaker for many people, is that there is no portrait mode for the front facing camera. Now you can see there that we do have live focus as an option, which is synonymous with portrait mode, by the way, if you didn't know. But when I go there, it flips around to the rear camera once again. So this is one of the few phones, even in the budget segment, that doesn't have a portrait mode ability for the front facing camera. And that's certainly very unfortunate. Now, if you are somebody that doesn't really take a lot of pictures and definitely doesn't care about having portrait mode for the front camera, then it's definitely not really anything to worry about. And I know, especially at this price point, in general, most people are just looking for a good, reliable phone, which this phone does deliver upon. But again, if that's a feature that you have on your current phone, and you expect to find that on this phone, then just know that you are not getting that. So that is a bit unfortunate. Now, as far as RAM and processor go, this phone does feature 4 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the MediaTek Dimensity 700 processor. Now, in general, based on my experience of using the phone, the performance is definitely pretty good in the sense that you shouldn't expect too much with a phone in this segment, but at the same time, I feel like it does over-deliver in some aspects. Now, if you are somebody who is on your phone all day, for example, maybe you use your phone for your business, I could definitely see some potential frustrations coming up with the phone being a little bit slow. But if you're somebody who uses your phone for phone calls, text messages, occasional social media, occasional email, occasional web browsing, maybe going on Google Maps here and there, then this phone is certainly plenty powerful. And then with that processor, we are getting 5G compatibility. And at this point, you definitely can get by with just 4G LTE, but at the same time, if you're going to take all the time and effort to get a brand new smartphone, you may as well get one that does support your carrier's latest and greatest network. Now, I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and here are those scores from that test right now. I got a single core score of 539 and a multi-core score of 1607. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone, and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G is even going to be a performance upgrade for you, because it certainly is possible that this phone might be slower than your current device, and you certainly wouldn't want to end up in a situation like that. So definitely take a look on that. Now with this device, video recording does max out at 1080p with both the front and rear cameras. That's not really a surprise of any sort, but at the same time, if you are looking for a phone with that feature, maybe your current phone has that and you're just assuming that every Android phone can take 4K video, then just know that we're not getting that here and you might want to end up going for something else. And I know a lot of people ask, why would you even want 4K video recording if the display on here is only 720p? And the reason for that is because you might want to watch those videos on another device. You might even want to upload those videos online. And if you do, you might want to play it in 4K on your 4K TV. So there's a lot of reasons why you might want 4K video recording. But at the same time, for many people, that's not even a big deal at all. Now with this phone, we are getting a 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery, which is pretty good. Definitely expect to get a full day of usage out of this phone on one charge. And then as far as the software goes, we are getting Android 12 with pretty much a stock version of it. So definitely nothing as far as the software goes to be concerned about. And one downside with this phone is that there is no NFC. So if you are a fan of making mobile contactless payments using tap and pay, then you can't do that here, unfortunately, with this device. Now, if you want to go for the Pro model, you do get NFC. So that might be one reason why you might want to consider spending a little bit more. But it really just depends on how you use your phone. But now that we've gone over a variety of the different features of the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, let's now take a closer look at the hardware. Now, it's certainly nothing too advanced here, and overall, it's a relatively boring phone. But for many people, they don't really need a phone that's exciting necessarily. They just want a phone that works. And if you're one of those people, and you don't want to spend too much money either, then this phone is certainly a worthy option. But the phone is made completely of plastic, besides the display, which is glass. So I certainly do recommend pairing this phone up with some sort of case, just so that the plastic doesn't get too scratched up and the phone lasts a little bit longer. Now taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down, and also the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. Then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. And then on the back of the device, we have the T-Mobile logo, and we have the camera module. Now I do like that we have this matte finish on the back of the phone. Definitely glad that it's not glossy, because glossy phones definitely pick up a lot of fingerprints. I mean, you can already see that there are some fingerprints on this device, but it's not nearly as obvious. And I'm also a big fan of this color. I think it looks pretty interesting and unique. And also having that accented T-Mobile magenta power button is a nice touch as well. So in general, I think it's a pretty nice looking handset for what it is. Certainly has a lot of different features and specifications that make this phone a really solid value. And in 2023, I do feel like the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G is worth it, especially if you can get this phone for a really good deal. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, I think most people that end up getting this probably will be getting the phone for free, usually in exchange for switching into T-Mobile from another carrier. That's typically how they bundle those deals. But even if you're upgrading, I could see them really giving this phone to you for a really solid deal as well. But most importantly, I'm really curious to know what you think about the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G. And if anyone's watching this video that already owns this phone, definitely share with us your thoughts and experiences regarding it, as I'm certainly curious to know. But this is Kevin here. This concludes my video on the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G in 2023, and I will see you in the next one.